Who's going fishing Sunday?
I am. Let's go.
Let's go.
I am.
I'm in.
What? Wait. Can you put that cat down?
Yeah.
The cat's in.
I was trying to be a Bond villain. I apologize.
Yeah.
It's warm by this fire, Buck.
We're not even in the fire. We need to jump in the current.
We got to cool off in the current.
I just want everyone to know, I mean, we say it all the time. You have 7 best friends when you tune into us every week.
And it's wild because we used to say that, but now it's so real.
And it was just a real existential morning, guys.
Got all existential.
Did you short drift them?
Well,
That's a yes.
That's what the Canadians say, no bueno.
No bueno.
If there is a traditional Canadian saying, no bueno.
And we are back in the middle of the current, guys.
You hear that popping?
That's the current.
That's a babbling brook.
My name's Uncle Buck, and I'm with Rutten River Pursuits Podcast.
This is Reality Outdoor Radio, where our mission is to get you outdoors by connecting you with the people, skills, and products you can trust.
You can trust them.
Like I said, this is Uncle Buck here, and who do I have with me around the table tonight?
I'm Ryan.
I'm Will.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Brian.
Brian,
what's up, guys?
Buenaventura. Guys, I am excited.
What are you
We can
excited
tell,
about?
Bob.
Turkey mayhem is upon us, and hunters everywhere are heading into the woods. We here at Rutten River Pursuits Podcast are especially excited to share this month's sponsor with you.
Yeah, we are.
Because they are a lot like us. Element Outdoors is a relatively new camouflage apparel company that was founded by a couple of hard-working guys. They were fed up with spending their hard-earned money on hunting apparel or having to sacrifice quality for subpar products.
I heard that.
At Element Outdoors, good camo doesn't have to be expensive, and affordable outdoor gear doesn't have to be poorly made.
Oh, yeah.
Element Outdoors is technical clothing built by and for the working man. Find your addiction. These guys are running an exclusive special for the entire month of May.
Get out.
Where you can receive 20% off your order when you enter RRP20. Yep, that's RRP20.
RRP20?
RRP20
Love
is
it.
exactly it when you check out. Just go to elementoutdoors.com today.
Hey, Bucky,
Yeah, Stevie.
what's your favorite thing on the website?
I'm looking at their Prime Series quarter zip technical hoodie.
Oh, I like that too.
That's nice looking.
Yeah.
Get 2 of them, bud.
2 of them?
Yeah.
What size are you?
An XL in
Nah,
there.
you're probably a large. Get 2 large.
XL because I like to layer, buddy.
Like,
He does
get a
layer.
large
I
and
do
an
layer.
XL then.
Bucky is like an onion. He just peels
Just
off
peel 'em
layers.
back.
It's layers.
Well, I've learned to prepare, and you can, if you layer your clothes, you're always warm, or you can cool down, and
Yeah.
and you're never miserable. Guys, you all have had an incredible week.
It's been a good one.
It has been a good one.
I've been on this like chained to my call pager and
Really?
and living vicariously.
Work will do that to you.
Work
know?
does do that to you. Holiday weekends, but yet there are others of us that still manage to persevere and be outdoorsmen.
Do you have plans to get outdoors?
Yes, I do have plans to
Yeah.
get outdoors.
What you got coming up?
I wanted to go fishing, but I don't think the weather's going to cooperate as far as rainfall and or wind.
I thought the river was coming down there, and it was about 5 feet, and then boom! I looked again last weekend. It was what, 10 or 11 or
Yeah,
something
it was
crazy
over
like
10.
That. Yeah.
And we're going to get
It's
more.
never cleaned up too. It's chocolate milk all day long.
Exactly, and the tributaries are all a mess from the rain. So you know,
that.
the rain takes out the river, the streams, and then we're supposed to get some wind.
Are we?
And that kind of messes
Bad wind or just like breezy?
above 10 miles an
Oh,
hour. and
man.
that- yeah, and with gusts, and that's just not fun on a lake either, unless you're doing some vertical fishing or
It's April for you.
yeah.
It is the season.
But there's also good news that we also have opening of. I have an option to go turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have that coming up. First day of PA spring turkey season.
And We also have an opportunity to go down and help our good friends at the Donegal Fish and Conservation.
Yeah, association. Those guys are great. They got they're redoing the nursery. They call it the Speedway.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, and they're digging it out and putting new liners in, and so I think we're going to drop. A couple of us should at least drop by for that.
You know, that stuff all sounds good, Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that we've got some cool things coming up, but I think we might have overlooked the fact that I think I heard a Brian in there.
Yeah.
In our little going around the table here.
What's up, fellas?
Was that Mr. Pikerowski?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What's going on?
Coming
Brian?
north of the Mason-Dixon again.
Yeah.
How about it?
Welcome back.
Happy to be here.
To the good side, right? Yeah, we asked Brian to come up and hang out with us, and we're hoping maybe might see some more of him.
Yeah,
more often.
that might be happening down the pike.
Seeing as
Diesel.
That might be happening on the pick.
but seeing as how we are, officially kicking off Turkey Mayhem, it seems very fitting that Brian would join us, as he is quite the turkey slayer, which I think we'll hear about.
I think he's slayed.
That's an
about
overstatement, I believe.
everything. Not at all.
I've killed a few. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say I'm
the most.
Well,
I mean, the fries have
Yeah.
put down some birds
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, in present company, I think
I've killed a few.
Can you
I've
count
lost.
them all on one hand?
I've lost count.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then
I'm modest.
that won't be. his
I
nickname.
just don't keep track. It's not a thing for me to keep track of how many
Sure,
birds
yeah,
I've killed or how
right.
many deers I've killed.
Yeah,
How many
me either.
deers. How
I
many
can't
deer
count.
I've killed. Squirrels. I mean, I just take my daily bag limit and walk home.
right.
Yeah, but we're going to be spending a little more time, I think, with Brian, catching up with him and seeing how things are going. So I'm looking forward to that. So welcome to the current,
Thank you.
as
Thank
it
you.
were.
It's a
And,
pleasure.
because we are in the current and we've covered some things that are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What about some things that maybe we've just done recently?
That's cool. Steve-O, you got anything going on?
Where you been fishing?
I'm transitioning.
Are you
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
And what's that transition?
Much earlier than normal this year. So it's been normally I trout fish through April and May, and then start to make the bass transition in June. No, I did not this year.
No.
Trout was so good at the beginning of the season that I think it seems to me like the water warmed up a little earlier than normal.
Did it peak early for you?
Yeah. So bass were hitting top water this week.
Are you done trout fishing?
There's a few more stockings at the lake that we fish at, so I'll hit them right after that. But I think, given the chance on a Saturday morning or at lunchtime, I'm going to be probably be bass fishing.
You threw out a question to the crew
Yeah.
earlier this week, and I thought, come on, bud, you're pushing it. You're trying maybe just a little too hard. You were curious if anybody thought maybe topwater might turn on.
Yeah.
But what'd you do?
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
Because not more than 2 days later.
Lunchtime or something like that a few days ago was out. And sure enough, tricked a couple into hitting the whopper plopper. And
Where were you fishing?
there's this small, it's actually not far from here. There's this small lake or small farm pond near where I work.
Okay.
That I scoot off to at lunchtime sometimes.
Okay.
It's pretty convenient.
Takes a picnic
That's-
basket and a blanket.
Yeah, that's the lunchtime water hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's about 10 minutes from where we're at.
That's
now.
awesome.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The other thing I did was finally got my big swim bait. Well, not necessarily big swim bait, but bigger swim baits than we typically throw. Got my setup ready for that. We talked about that
Oh, yeah.
a few weeks ago. Yeah, so
Did you purchase anything?
I got a reel and got that.
You got reel?
I got reel.
Nice.
Yeah. I got my reel, got my rod, and got a cheaper swim bait.
Is that a
'Cause that's
typical
how
swim
I
bait
roll.
reel?
Yeah. It is.
I just never. I'm not in that arena.
Me either. I was just going to ask him, like, what's the rod and reel combo?
So our our buddy Derek Keller had a friend that was selling a muskie rod, and it's a casting rod, and I got that off of him, and it's a Shimano rod, and so it's rated for like 1 to 3 or up to like a 3 ounce lure. So I figured that would be
Stout.
pretty good. Yeah.
So it's a medium heavy to heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's but the crazy thing is it's not physically, it's not heavy. Like it's very
Correct.
light.
Yeah.
It's really really impressive. Not quite as light as that rod that Wayne Campbell made for catfish, but it's fairly light. And then a Shimano Cardiff reel, which is just a round bait caster, which I love it. I mean, that thing's...
The Cardiff's the one you were talking about that you were thinking about going.
Yeah, so that's the one.
I like it.
That's one I ended up getting.
What type of line do you put on that when you're throwing swim bait?
Everybody has their own theory. I had a 20-pound. I knew I wanted to use 20-pound, but I had 20-pound fluorocarbon at home, which is just... So that's what I threw on it. And my birthday was a few weeks ago, so I happened to mention that I was wanted a particular beginner swim bait, so it's $20 or $30, not $200 or $300. But I took that out today, and believe it or not, within the first couple minutes, had a few hits. So I didn't get cool. Yeah. So that was very encouraging. It's a different style of fishing that I'm used to.
Sometimes when you grab it like a underwater stick or something, people think that's a hit.
No, it was actually the bass are moving close to the bank now. They're pre-staging for the spawn, so I was actually able to see, the fish hit this. Unless it was a fast moving.
Oh yeah.
A fast
Some of those
moving
sticks
stick with a white belly.
They'll really dart out toward the swim baits. I've heard.
It's a different cast. It's a different. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it's more of a not necessarily a lot. But when you're pitching a cast master, you load up the rod and snap it. At least I do, and I whip that, snap it, get the most action out of the rod. I'm not doing that with this. I mean, it's more of a gentle lob. You're still loading up the rod, but you're not.
You don't need to work as hard because of the weight.
Not even close. I mean, it's still. Now, I've got the brakes turned up on the reel. It's still just sail.
The governor.
I got the governor turned up on the reel.
Is this like a 2-ounce lure or like?
It's almost like an ounce and a half.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
This one is that I was throwing. So somewhere between 1 and 2 ounces. But
you're getting yourself set up for that reservoir, maybe.
Yeah.
Running some of these swim baits in some of that really clear water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not. It's still, catfish is hammering the bass already, just like he does.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. It hasn't quite turned on that much yet at Breakfast Lake.
Yeah.
That's spring fed, so I think that's still a little on the colder side, but it's coming. I spent some time there today, so.
Why don't you get them to stock out with trout?
They do. They only stock twice during the year. And actually, there was a guy there next to me. There was a couple other guys there that were trout fishing tonight, still catching them.
Soaking some corn.
I don't know what they were soaking. Probably corn.
You were pitching a lure the size of their what they're catching.
It was funny. Yeah, when that hits the water, you feel it. But no, so it's different. So it's hard to, there's certain lures that I know I could have caught fish because I could see them. They're up close to the bank. They're smaller bass. You could catch them, but you have to consciously. I'm trying something different this year. I want to force myself to.
Force yourself on that fish.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But no turkey hunting for me yet.
Are you going to try and get out?
Saturdays are tough because kids and sports and stuff. And I think as far as hunting seasons go, it's relatively on the shorter side, right?
The first
Spring
half,
gobbler,
half of Pennsylvania season, you got to be out of the woods by 1 p.m. No hunting afternoon.
And does it run till after Memorial Day again?
I think Memorial Day is the
Monday.
last.
Okay.
That Monday,
Monday
is the
Memorial,
last day of the season.
Yeah.
Monday.
But I think it's. I don't know the dates. Of course, check your regs.
Check your regs.
Check them
but
regs.
like the season's split in half. So the first half of the season is morning only, and then they open it up for the all day hunts.
I would love to get out.
You should have came with me and Hunter, because
Menor
this
Youth
past
Day.
Saturday was the youth day
Was it?
for Pennsylvania.
How'd that go?
It was great to be out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It was nice to be out.
Yeah.
Did you hear any birds?
Listen to the woods wake. I heard some other callers.
Other callers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was about it. I was having a little bit of a call off with the other ridge.
Yeah.
I honestly believe it's what we were doing. We were trying to.
Sounded like girls.
We were just trying to imitate whatever call the other person threw out a couple minutes prior.
Yeah.
Seemed
How'd
to be
that
what's
go?
going on. We didn't hear any gobbling. Didn't see any birds, although
Did you have a gobble too?
no.
A what?
A tube, a gobble
Oh,
tube.
a tube. I thought you said tooth. Like, that sounds pretty cool.
A gobble tooth.
Yeah.
Dude, it's this one. I call it that one right there.
We got the gobble tooth pop.
I have the tube, but I tend to leave it in my bin in the truck. Only because I know if I have it, it's kind of along the same lines as not calling too much. I have to physically leave the calls out of my pockets.
Yeah.
Because if I have them with me, I will find
I will
reason
call them.
to use them.
Call them.
So I try not to take it because I'm afraid I'd use it too much. But that would have been the only way we would have heard one.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking.
Goblin.
Were you hunting around here? Or
Yeah,
locally?
it was outside of Dillsburg.
Okay.
One of Catfish's stomping grounds.
Yeah.
I like to maybe sneak in there and get one before Miss Lacey lays them all out. So
Did you see him scouting or anything?
I did not see him.
Morning.
You wouldn't see him
You,
scouting.
you would.
He's-
We probably
yeah.
walked right by him.
I'm sure yeah.
No, we're.
Twice.
I mean,
He might
between
come out for Ryan.
for Hunter and I, we're fortunate enough that we have access to a small piece of private land that's surrounded by the game lands over there.
Lucky.
But it hasn't paid off in deer or turkeys ever. I've killed 2 birds over there, but they've both been on the game lands.
Really?
Gotcha.
And I didn't even access the lands from the private land on either of those hunts.
You're just game landing it.
Yeah,
Game lander.
I'm a game lander. There can
Public
be only
land.
one.
There can be only one.
But yeah, like I said, it was.
Here we are.
It,
Born to be kings.
it was nice to be out, and I mean, this sounds terrible, and I know that it would be great to experience my son taking his first turkey, right? And it's going to be great when it does happen because we'll be successful sooner or later.
I know he's gonna go with Pike.
That's what I'm hoping. That's one of the reasons that we're having.
I got a PA license.
Yeah, he'll get him the.
I hope.
It'll be funny. It'll be like, thanks, Dad.
You're welcome, son.
I love it. No, but if
Special Jake.
if we can make that happen, somebody needs to be able to. But it was good to be out, work out some of the kinks. In my setup, I always feel like it's right about the time the rut kicks in during archery season that I finally have my gear set up the way I need it for the year. Like it takes 2 or 3 outings, or in the case of archery season, 2 or 3 weeks, until I start to feel like I've got the things where I need them. I don't have to worry about forgetting something. So to have that opportunity to go out on a youth hunt and work out some of the kinks for turkeys,
That's helpful.
it's kind of a good thing.
Yeah. That's cool.
So that was good.
Did you get your mom out at all?
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
What happened there?
Where'd you take her? Where'd you take her?
We went to Pinchot. It was, I guess we did have Easter here recently, didn't we?
Yeah.
But it was the day before Easter, and we had a busy weekend of all kinds of family events, some sporting stuff and some Easter stuff with the family. But we had about 3 hours Saturday afternoon when I looked at Hunter and I said, grab your mom, we're going to the lake.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Let's go fishing. We had a couple hours and the rods are already in the truck. Let's go fishing. Not knowing how windy it actually was outside. Because till we got to Pinchot and we launched the boat, we had a hard time
Oh,
getting
it was
the
a windy
anchors to
day.
even hold.
Yeah.
And we'd pull back in a couple coves or something and we would look for a place to get in out of some of that wind. But then when you get back in those coves, things would swirl.
Yeah.
Right. And as Deaky will be the first to tell you, when I drop my anchor off the side of the boat and tie off, then all I do is just spin in a circle. Try to drop it off the nose, and it's not working, and it's just pulling. So we were having a rough time of it. Didn't have a lot of time anyway, so I told Hunter, I was like, let's try trolling.
Yeah.
See what we can get into, see if anything happens, and it's pretty much our only option. So throw a couple lines out of the back, start the boat. I have to cross the lake to troll along the other side. And then eventually we would work our way back to the boat launch.
Cool.
As I go to cross the lake, here comes
Why did
this,
your mom cross the lake?
to get to the trolling side.
Troll on the other side.
You launch where we normally launch that?
Yes.
Okay.
I did put in there. I wanted to go in up by the lily pads, and I think we could have got out of the wind better on that end of the lake. But Hunter doesn't like fishing up there.
Why not? Hunter.
I got to work with him on that. But as I go to cross the lake, there's a sailboat.
You said it's windy, right?
Sailboat.
It's really windy. And here comes this sailboat.
Like a 3-masted schooner.
It's got to be like a drag strip for
Catamaran.
sailboats.
Like it wasn't a catamaran. It was a smaller sailboat.
They hoist
but
the main jib.
It almost kind
They
of
crease
looked like
the sheet.
I don't even know what these words mean. I'm relatively new to sailing.
That's all I know.
Like you've seen one.
Well, yeah,
That's
I've
pretty
seen
much.
one now. But he was doing this maneuver, which seemed like it reasonably it's working, right? So he's sailing into the wind, but he's sort of cutting left and then right and left. So there's a name for that, jibbing or something like that. But he's doing
Sounds good.
He's doing something
Jibbing.
where he's moving at a pretty good clip. But
I would imagine that you got your top fuel dragster going there in the wind.
But he's sailing into the wind.
Yeah.
Which was weird. Anyway, I had to
It's a
make a
game
big
of
wide
angles.
sweep because he's doing this jibbing thing from side to side. I had to make a big wide sweep around him.
Do you give him dirty looks whenever you do that?
No, I just wanted to get out of his way because I can't imagine you can control this.
Jib
very
somewhere else, buddy.
The best part about it is like you're running with the trolling motor, so it's like getting run over by a steamroller. No!
So, one more.
No!
There had to be one more. So we eventually make it to the opposite shore, and I'm now actually following this sailboat.
Okay.
Is he still jibbing?
He is.
Okay.
He is.
Okay.
And here's what happens. I'm following along.
Drafting them.
I'm drafting them, trying to gain some ground. We're trolling. I actually thought I got a real good hit. I actually thought I had a fish on at one point.
You about ready to shake and bake them?
Yeah, shake and bake. But turns out no fish. Anyway, back to watching this guy sail.
Yeah.
He cuts hard to the right, and apparently he got a little closer to shore than he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So when he brings her about to head back to the left, he brings her about a little too far.
Oh.
And he cuts completely sideways into the wind.
Oh,
and
my.
it was like, did you ever watch any roller
Ben
derby?
Franklin, like a kite.
There's a move in the roller derby world they call the slingshot.
Yeah.
Where as they come around the corner and they take that last skater and they just
Swim around.
throw him forward. That's what happened with this boat. Like it got
dear.
completely sideways and the wind just shot it right into the center of the lake, and then the gust picked up, laid it over.
No way.
Like just flipped the sailboat. I watched the guy launch.
Catapulted.
It basically catapulted him over top of his sail, like just gone.
Good Lord.
He's out in the middle of the lake,
Was he the only one in the boat?
all by himself.
You have a PFD on?
Yes,
That's
he
good.
did. He was at least thinking that far ahead.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, like as it's happening, and of course Hunter spun around on the sea. He goes, you get one. And I said, nope. And he goes, what are you yelling about? And I pointed toward the sailboat and I said, we might have to go over there. And he turns around and he does the same thing. He goes, oh. So, how'd that happen? I said, I don't know. I don't know anything about sailing.
He jibbed his last
He
jib.
jibbed when he should have jabbed.
That's right. That's right.
But I quickly pulled in the lines, and I knew that the guy was going to probably need some help. So we made our way over to the boat, and sure enough, you remember Jaws 2? I think Jaws 2 was the movie where they go out into the lagoon with their little sailboats.
Yeah.
Anyway, once the sharks attacked and chewed up half the catamaran and ate a couple of kids,
Yeah, the catamaran pie.
one of the younger children was sitting on top of this flipped over sailboat. What's the keel? The big
The big
You're
rudder.
just saying words.
like a big rudder on the bottom of a sailboat, right?
Yeah.
This guy's looks like that little kid in the movie where he is sitting on the bottom of his boat, leaned up
Holding
against
on
that
to the
keel,
line.
kind of hugging it, like with that freaked out look in his face.
Do you ask him if he's going to get down with it?
He would have.
Yeah.
I really think he would. I don't want to make light of the situation, but he didn't know what to do.
You have
Yeah.
to.
And because I fully
A
expected I
captain
was going.
always goes down with the ship.
I don't know
I've
if that
heard that.
applies to little sailboats in state parks.
But I've been around people who have sailed catamarans and who have done some of this stuff, and I know that there's ways that you can stand on that keel and pull on the side of the boat and
Like a
right
jet
your
ski.
ship. Like I've seen it
I don't
happen.
have a clue. I have no frame of reference.
And I fully expected I was going to pull up, and for a guy to be out on the water in that kind of wind,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have assumed he knew what he was doing. So I was expecting to tool over, be a nice guy, like, "Hey, you okay? Do you need some help?" And he was going to be like, "I got this. Watch, pop the boat
Get
up
your
and
mom
on.
outta here.
Get
I
on
got
his way."
this.
He had
A
pale
blank-
face, like just like, and I was like, "Oh, okay. So this is going to be a rescue. Here we go."
Yeah.
Tie off a rope to.
Did you have to give him mouth to mouth?
Not yet. Don't jump ahead in the story.
I'm not. I just think it. If not, it was a ploy to do it. I think
might
he
have
was just trying to get closer to you.
I got tied off on
Did
the
you at
nose
least
of his
ask
boat.
him when you got over there
No,
if you needed it?
I did not.
I
Here's-
know a guy who knows
here's the thing.
CPR.
This is, I would say, based on the size of your mom, this is probably a 18-foot sailboat. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The size of your mom.
Yeah.
It's a
She-
big boat.
She's bigger than my boat.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And she's half sunk. And I've got a 45-pound thrust trolling motor.
He's on the top of his main mast yelling
His
at
key-
He's
Keel.
sitting on a half-sunken sailboat.
He's up there yelling
I've
at
tied
God.
off on the front.
Oh!
I've tied
Is
off.
this all you got?
I'm giving her all I've got, Captain.
He's like,
Just don't have the power.
he's up there like Lieutenant Dan.
Dan.
Yeah.
Just then, God showed up.
So, I can barely get this boat turned.
You're really slow rolling this story.
I'm not trying to. You guys are making me slow roll it.
I'm gonna keep doing what I do, as long as you do what you do.
Okay. But I'm trying to make my way to shore, and we're
Yeah.
not gaining ground.
You
For
got your
every-
mom like
Maxed
wide-
out.
She's wide open.
Maxed.
That Minn Kota
Yeah.
was like Minn
wine.
donut.
Mendona.
It was like you should not min donut anymore.
Yeah.
'Cause
So I've got her
peg
wide
Hole
open.
five.
Wide open. And for every inch, no, I'll say for every 2 inches I make it to shore, the boat sinks another inch.
Oh.
So it's sinking as fast as I'm trying to get it to
Where's
shore.
this dude?
He's sitting
Still
on
holding on his
actually,
keel.
Once I got the boat tied off and we started making our way toward shore, like I'm spinning the boat and we're gaining a little bit of ground, he made his way into the water and started recovering some of the things that were floating around
So he's still in the
and
water.
floating away. Oh yeah, he was still in the water. If we try to put him on the boat and tow, that
No way.
trolling motor ain't going anywhere.
No
so
bueno.
he stayed in the water. Luckily,
Did you?
another
Are you friends with him now? Do you
fishing boat.
having him over for dinner?
No,
Is he having you over?
there
for
was
dinner?
no. There was another fishing boat.
What's
that
he having
saw
for dinner?
the goings on, and they came over to join us. They luckily had
2
a bow
years from now.
mounted
This is going to be like a
and
special reunited.
Transom.
I can't.
Like
I can't even look at you right
Maury
now.
Povich.
But they had 2 trolling motors on their boat. So we had 2 boats, 3 motors, and we finally were able to get this thing to shore. Because the point that the guy made was he couldn't do anything to get it over because it had taken on too much water.
Yeah.
And it was continuing to take on water. He couldn't get it righted. So he was thinking if we could get this close to shore where he could stand in the water, might be able to get enough leverage then, which ended up being the case. We got him close enough to shore I could tie off on a tree to his boat so that it doesn't, sink completely. And he was able to stand. I ended up getting in the water up to about my waist.
That's
to
crazy.
help. And the other fishing boat, because he's now tied off on the shore, the other fishing boat went around the back side of his boat. So they're pushing down on the keel while we're lifting the mast. And basically, we finally got it uprighted.
There's got to be a video of this online
Did you
somewhere.
hit the bilges then?
There was no bilge. There's nothing on this. This is old school sailboat. There's nothing electric. He had buckets. They all didn't float away. We saved a couple of the buckets. We started bailing, and it was funny because for every scoop I could take from the, it was one of those like popcorn buckets that you get the caramel corn at the beach.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those buckets. So for every scoop I took, you could actually watch the nose of the boat raise up. And we were about halfway through bailing this boat out.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he goes, and he was very appreciative and
Do you know
very
his name at all?
apologetic. No, but very
Did
appreciative.
like a grip and grin
Very
afterwards. Grabbed
apologetic.
him by the ears and
and
look
he's
what
like,
you
"Is
got."
there anything I can do for you guys?" Blah blah blah. He made a funny joke. He was like, because he was
That'd be
thanking
funny.
me and apologizing for ruining our day, and I was like, "Yeah, we weren't catching anything anyway." Blah blah blah. He goes, "Oh, you caught a boat." True.
Deal.
You're not wrong.
That's not funny.
But that was my joke was funny, which is coming up.
Oh,
You
I
ready?
can't wait.
This is my favorite part of the whole experience
Oh no.
Here it comes.
because we're about halfway through
We're all
bail,
Short story long.
the bailing process, and he actually looked at me and he
Sorry.
goes,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
pretty much. He looked at me at one point and he goes, "I'm kind of new to this whole thing," and I said, "Sailing or crashing?" And it took him 2 more bail scoops before he got it. And he stopped and he goes, "I guess both."
Both.
You guess
Am I-
both. So that was my exciting adventure on the
crazy.
water.
He's lucky you guys were there and he wasn't.
So did you catch anything?
No, just
No.
a boat.
Okay, just the boat.
Just the boat. Yeah.
When did he get out of the water?
I don't know, because honestly, I expected to have this thing bailed so that it was floating correctly. He had pulled his sail down at that point, and I thought I was going to tow him back
Hunter got-
because we had the wind in our.
Hunter got the truck and loaded up your mom.
He should have. We had the wind, working in our favor to get him back to the marina. But I asked him, and he goes, "No, I've got some damage control to do, and I'll just
the
wait
wife?
out. I'll wait out the wind."
Wait out the wind.
Yeah, I don't remember it really dying down.
I wonder if
Saturday.
he got back out and sailed.
He said he was sailing it. He was going to sail it back.
He's getting right back on that horse.
I'll tell you, I was in up to my waist. It wasn't bad once you were in.
wasn't.
The water temperature is probably upper 50s. So
That's still
it's
cold, though.
it's cold when you step in.
Yeah.
But once you're in, you're in.
Once all the shriveling's done,
I don't know.
it's done.
Yeah. I was ready to wet wade.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready to wet wade.
Let's do it.
That's
Who's
fine.
going fishing? Son?
So your mom is officially Coast Guard approved to rescue boats.
ship.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You know,
Rescue.
you might as
You
well
have to call me captain now.
Oh yeah.
You might as well head up to Dutch Harbor then. After that,
take your mom up to the Bering Sea. And
help out.
you
those
might want to
boys.
get a 50-pound trolling motor for
Sailing
that.
Bermuda.
Just do the triangle loop.
Yep. We'll be all right. We'll get bigger battery. So it was a big day of
Yeah.
really fun stuff, but a whole lot of nothing going on. No turkeys, no fish.
Was it too windy for your mom? In all honesty, in retrospect,
Yes.
yeah,
And then imagine adding another 3 foot to her and a sail.
yeah,
It was a bad idea.
yeah.
And a lot of water.
Jeans. Gotcha.
He's relatively new to this.
Did anybody do any turkey hunting or anything remotely related to turkey season?
Pike's been
I did.
doing a
Did
lot
ya?
of turkey hunting
I
because
did,
Maryland's been open for a bit.
So I was able to get out. Coming from Maryland, our season opened up already.
Yeah.
I was able to get out on Youth Day with a young lady, and then our adult season opened up the following week. So I was able to get out and do my first turkey hunt in the spring down
Nice.
there, and heard some birds gobble. Knew that where their pattern and where they were going to be coming.
Yeah.
And 4 birds came down over the hill, and the first 2 I identified as hens, and they come down, and I saw 2 birds following them, and I saw some long beards, and I'm like,
Nice.
all right,
Really?
we
It's
got yeah. So the shoulder, the shotgun came up to the shoulder, and as those first 2 hens came down, they got probably within 10 yards at the blind, and the last 2 birds, I picked one out and took a shot. Ended up killing that turkey and had a nice show from a gobbler, another turkey that came down over the hill, and he strutted and did his
the
thing.
big strutter
the
shows
big
up
tom.
after you pull the trigger.
Absolutely. Yep. The big strutter shows. And I knew that I had killed a decent turkey.
Yeah.
Didn't know exactly how big this turkey was. I know that it was the one of the 2 that had beards. It was the longest bearded turkey. So after this,
How far away was it?
about 25 yards, the shot was.
Sure.
And then the decoys were probably 15 to 20 yards away.
Yeah.
So these were fairly close encounters
That's
with
great.
some turkey, and so after I didn't want to spook this gobbler because it's a long season and
Sure.
had some people that I'm going to be taking out throughout the season and didn't want to spook the bird, so. He walked off, and as he walked off, I made sure he was out of sight, and I snuck up out of the blind and
He is out of sight.
out of sight, and walked up to my turkey that I had shot and picked it up. And when I picked it up, I realized it didn't have any spurs. You usually pick up a turkey by the feet, and I grabbed its legs, and it didn't have any spurs.
What's that mean, Picker?
That's when it dawned on me that this was a hen.
Yeah.
This was a hen.
No way.
And so
Bearded
a
hen.
bearded hen. And I was shocked when I picked it up, but then as I held it, it was identifiably had a long beard.
Oh yeah, I saw some
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah.
man. That's
Yeah.
There's no denying that.
It's
So
a pretty bird.
I didn't know. I didn't know what to think or how to act, and I had in 30 years of hunting, deer hunting or turkey hunting or anytime being in the woods, I probably have seen 2 bearded hens in my life.
Yeah.
And here I had harvested a bearded hen, so I walk over to the blind, and I still
there's a stigma at times, like to me, and I'm not a hardcore turkey hunter.
Yeah.
So a bearded bird is a legal bird, and that's going to cook very well in my pressure cooker.
Yeah, absolutely, and so I was the same. I looked at the regulation, and if I had done something illegal accidentally, I was going to go ahead and
Check them
contact
regs, yeah.
DNR and do whatever I needed to do. But I looked at the regulations, and it specifically says bearded turkey, similar to what it does in deer season. It says antlered deer and antlerless, and so we all know that there are times when female deer. Female doe will grow antlers, and they are perfectly legal in the hunting woods. So I think what makes me kind of I don't want to say upset, but
I'd like to explain this because it's something we never talked about. I believe on the show is what is the drawback? What's the negative of shooting a bearded hen?
I think it's all in perspective with each individual person. I mean, you in the spring you are out for a gobbler. All right, a male turkey. You know, kind of like, you know, a 160 buck or a 140 inch buck. You know, you measure the spurs, the length of the spurs. You age the turkey, and you look at the beard, and that's kind of your trophy, if you will.
Right.
And as a hen, you have the beard, but you don't have the spurs. And in the springtime, the female turkeys or the hens are going to be the breeders. And so there's kind of you know.
The bad part about taking a female bird is that
it's a breeder.
It's a breeder. There's more birds coming from that bird. And I think that's the biggest drawback. You know, as far as like,
and in my opinion, that would be the only one, because I see it as it's unique, it's rare. It's in many cases once in a lifetime to even see
it's
one.
that rare,
So,
really.
Yeah. I think I read like 8 to 10% of hens will grow a beard. So it's a very low percentage to see one, let alone have a chance to harvest one. So it is pretty cool that now I can kind of check that off my list.
It's like albino or piebald deer.
And that's what I was going to say. There's a difference though between
Palomino.
that bearded hen and a palomino or a piebald deer. You know that's a piebald deer. You don't realize that that's a bearded hen. You'd think that's a Jake or a Tom. But you know a piebald deer is a piebald deer.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's buck or doe.
It's obvious.
You know that. You know it's a something special. You don't realize that bearded hen is something special. That's the point I was just trying to make.
Yeah.
That where you know you can't help that.
Yeah, there are some times in the woods
they're
you can,
characteristic. I mean,
you can identify a gobbler by the red and the white head. You know,
waddle.
obviously when it struts, you know, it's, you know,
all right.
so but I've seen a hen fan out in the woods. So in the heat of the moment, I saw a beard. I knew that it was a bearded turkey, and
cool.
I pulled the trigger, and I'm happy. It's something I can check off my bucket list. It's an experience that I've had.
You're getting your mounted.
I have it in the freezer. I did. I do. I have it in the freezer. I didn't skin it or take the meat off of her. I have it in the freezer. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do with it. And I looked in the record books, and I don't know in the state of Maryland if it is going to score. It had an 8 5/8 inch long beard.
Wow.
So that's
She's
not
been fooling dudes for a while.
Yeah. So. That's a fairly long beard.
She's experienced at that. It's just not a newcomer.
But, you often see a lot of turkey hunters who have a lot of really impressive mounts will oftentimes get like a pair mounted. I mean, what better hen to get mounted than a bearded hen?
Yeah, that would be cool. I do have one gobbler, a full mounted gobbler in a gobbler pose.
Right.
So I was fortunate enough to harvest a turkey years back with my bow. Got it all on video, and even though he wasn't a trophy turkey, that experience with me getting it on film and harvesting it with my bow, I'm like, I'm getting this turkey mounted.
Yeah.
So that you may talk me into it, Ryan. I think I may consider getting that thing mounted. Yeah. Yep.
I thought it was pretty cool, bud.
It was. I got a turkey. I filled my tag.
Yeah, and you got something special along the way. That's to me a kind of the surprise bonus. And again, because it's a bearded hen, you just don't know it until you get up on it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I do get what Will's saying about, like, there are characteristics, with the face and whatnot. And I haven't hunted enough to know those. I would have shot that bird
all day
long.
Yeah. It cooks well.
It tastes just the same.
The bird cooks up.
Good.
And I know Aaron Ohl commented. He said that he has killed 3. He's killed 3 long beards. The hens. Yeah. So no, and he's been able to see and get in range 3 hens that have beards. So I thought that in itself was pretty cool.
After hearing that about Aaron Ohl and knowing that you now have a little bit more experience with a bearded hen, will you be more cautious next time in a similar situation? Just because you already have one, and you're like,
yeah, I'd like to.
I mean,
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so that I would try to be, try to identify the bird 100%. You know, not now going through this experience. If I see 3 or 4 birds coming in and all I see is beards, I'm not going to think automatically those are birds that I'm gonna, or a bird that I'm going to take. I'm going to make sure that
fool me once.
It's got a red head. It's
and that's what I wanted to ask you next was exactly that. Being a novice turkey hunter, then what are those characteristics that I need to look at if I'm questioning if this truly is a male bearded?
If you haven't had a turkey, just take the turkey that looks the best to you. That's all you need to worry about.
And that's what
then
I would
after
be.
That
exactly.
After that
but
bearded
the next year,
bird, after those those first couple experiences, then we'll start. You'll be able to identify them just based on experience and being out and seeing the birds. Whatever looks good to you is what you need right now.
Thank you, bud. It's exactly what. Exactly. Thank you.
Legal beard. Check those regs.
Check your regs.
Again, you don't have these kinds of conversations overall with deer. You know, like we've alluded to, we have. I've heard of more bearded hens than I ever had of doe with.
Yeah.
That's
The
much more rare, is with the doe with antlers than a bearded hen. I mean, as Picky just said. Aaron Ole claims that he shot 3.
Aaron Ole calls him Pike.
It was probably Samantha and the kids. I mean, I seen the way that Japer's been knocking them down. Both of his kids got birds on Youth Day this year. So, I'm thinking the family's putting the bearded hens down. Aaron's just trying to take
taking
credit.
pictures.
Right. Yep.
He's taking pictures and credit. That's right. Sorry, Aaron.
For not doing much of it, this is a subject that I could talk for. I just could soak it all up. Bird talk, any kind of bird talk.
Bird talk with Chuck Wagon.
I'd rather eat them than you guys shoot them and bring them back to me. I'll cook them up. But
there you go.
But golly,
what happened with you, Bobby?
I got to go out with a expert turkey guide.
Really?
Who would that be?
Go on.
Pikdiesel. Turkey.
It's kind of a theme lately.
If he's an expert, I'd like to go out with him.
Brian's at the other end of the table. Never heard of him.
Are you sure we're not in Pikerowski mayhem instead of turkey mayhem?
Yeah. He looked like a bearded hen.
Those are Will's words, bud, not mine.
I got a bulge.
All right.
Woo, he said.
It's a family show. I'm going to have to shower off here.
Oh, it's proof. Check his spurs. He graciously had me down to the Pikerowski ranch.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was the same ranch that Deke had been to the year before and scared off all the birds.
Oh, he blew it down there, didn't he?
That's what we heard. And this time it was nice. I didn't have a lot of time. I had a afternoon appointment to get to, and Pick said, come down anyway. We got birds that, they're ready. So we got set up, and it was so cool. It was a perfect morning. It probably felt like a little too perfect because it was just the weather was. We're down in this little ravine, little kind of gully, fern gully, and
it's a good name for it.
And we're down out of the wind, like you could hear the wind above us in the fields, and where we were was just quiet and serene, and I think we heard a couple gobbles early, but they were just faint. And it was one of those times where you're like, did you hear that? And he's like, no. So I'm like, I know I heard it. I was kind of like, you questioned it though.
Yeah.
But I thought I heard it. And then he thought he heard. They were not active. Long story short.
Yeah.
They were not, very vocal. And 7:30, we saw our first bird. It was a hen. Just comes in, scooted did a, I don't know, 180 or whatever, or scooted in. I don't know. She was just kind of
scooting in.
I don't know how
scooter.
Yeah.
She had boots on?
Great. She did a great Brian.
Little boot scooting. Just kind of sauntered.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sauntered through.
So she saunters in and right through, and then we see another one shortly after that, around 8 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
Up high and up on this power line, and then we saw two more birds or another bird, and they're all hens, and I'm starting to freak out. Like, this is like crazy. Why are these hens by themselves? What are they doing? What's going on?
No, we're not hearing any gobbles.
Nothing. And Pike, he's just sitting, going through his repertoire. Oh, should we leave? Should we hang out? The golden rule is if, hey, you want to leave, wait another half hour. That's the golden rule.
One more cast.
One more cast. And then, he's going through the stuff, and he, makes a couple calls, and, it pulls out another, pocket, pulls out another call, and another, so he's going through, he's pulling out all the stops to try and get me on a bird, and I totally appreciate what he's trying to do and accomplish, and you can't change Mother Nature. It is what it is, and I had limited time, so that was another added pressure. But so at the third or fourth bird that went through, I'm like, I gotta call Trace, and so I called up.
You phoned a friend.
I
phoned
did.
a friend.
I phoned a friend. I called up our good buddy Tracy Groves from Heartwood Outdoors.
Master.
Yeah.
Ninja master, like shaman, crusty mountain kind of thing.
Yep.
This bird pops out right as he's like, I said, Trace, what is going on? We've had, hen after hen come through here. What? Why is this happening? And he said,
that's a good deal.
2 more minutes. Look to the right.
And pretty much. It wasn't even that, dude.
It's going to be a good deal to the right, bud.
I think his quote was, "Why are we seeing these single hens walk by?" Tracy said, "You're in the woods."
Because they live in the woods.
I love Tracy.
That's the best.
He'll give you the simplest answer to the simplest question. I love him.
I said, thank you. That's all. No. And he goes, no, that's
Good
a good
talk.
Yeah, good talk. That's a good thing, he said. He said, that is a good thing. He said, they're all, he said, there's going to be a gobbler coming, because they're looking for love. The hens, they're all busted up. They're all
out wandering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looking for
Yep.
a Mr. Right.
It was a hen buffet for these guys on Wednesday morning. And so he no sooner said there's going to be a tom. What happened?
I was to the left of Will, and I had the right angle, and I'm like, Will, there's a longbeard. There's a gobbler.
Well, as we're talking, this hen pops out, and Pike has to talk me off the ledge because I see, as the sun came through, I see red on the head. And I'm like, that's a tom. No, it's not.
It's a hen.
It's a hen. I'm like, no, it's not. It is a, and he's like, it's a hen.
And just that one disheveled feather that happens to be sticking forward. I got it.
I was so, he talked me off a ledge pretty quick, and Tracy's kind of explaining what's happening in the Western Maryland woods. This tom pops out, and it's big as anything.
Full strut.
And the problem was they're 68 yards away. And they're, so Tracy's like, I'm like, there's a tom. And Tracy's like, oh man, I can't believe I get to hear it go down.
Yeah.
Like, he was all jacked up. And I was out of my mind but it was cool to have Tracy, our longtime friend and mentor, and
and
Turkey whisperer
on the phone, and Pike's doing his thing. He's still like in the moment, and he's like, he starts calling a little bit. Tracy goes, "Man, who's that calling?" I said, "That's Mr. Pikdiesel." Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
he didn't know Will was with me in the blind. He just knew that Will was calling and he was in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
And really, when Will started dialing the phone, I had no idea. I'm like, who's he calling? I had no idea who he was calling until I heard Tracy's voice.
There's only 2 dudes or 3 dudes that I would call during a hunting situation.
It's funny, my phone didn't ring.
Catfish and Tracy.
Yeah.
After that might be Ryan. But these birds were out at 68 yards. And in all honesty, you guys heard my gun we shot it out to 60. And
solid too.
Solid at 60. And if that bird, so the hen went through and then dropped down in this little creek bed and went up the creek bed. And that gobbler, if he would have done anything other than what she did, in my opinion, it's lights out.
You would have probably taken a shot.
If he just would have looked at us, you know what I mean? But he just popped out, went exactly where she went, dropped, fanned out for a little bit, stopped, toyed with our emotions, and dropped down in the creek, and away he went. And as it goes, Tracy says, he's going to go breed that hen, and then he knows we're here. If we had more time, we could have finished our hunt. There's a really, really good chance that he would have came back looking for us, as a female hen.
Because he knew that sound was there, and there was a female still holding in that area.
Still ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we had 2 decoys out. So I had a quarter strut Jake and then a hen out there. So he knew there was turkeys there, and one of them was a hen, which he was hopefully going to come back. But Tracy just said, if I were you, I'd go out and pull those decoys so that when he comes back, you're gone, and he's going to come looking for you, hopefully getting closer to your position. So,
that's great.
Turkey's Tracy is a
pencil
a
that
wizard,
one in, folks. That is a little kernel of information there.
But we didn't have enough time to see that through. So, but that would have been the game plan going, So
he didn't read the script, huh?
No.
That's why I call him jerkies.
So if you had time willing, your hunt wasn't over that day.
Yeah, no, we could have, stuck it out, and like I said, the game plan would have been to wait for that time to breed that hen, and
that's
then come
a great
back.
thing. That's a great thing to know.
Yeah.
That hunt was not a done hunt.
Not whenever. Yeah, when he left.
Yeah,
we would have sat there. Yeah, I think it was 20 after 9 when we started packing up, and in down in Maryland, like here in PA, you can hunt till noon. So we would have had another 2.5 hours to sit in the woods, and thinking that another gobbler or that specific gobbler would have been back.
Yeah, chances are he came back. Honestly, I mean, that's the heat of the moment. They're ready. They're breeding like crazy right now. But it was amazing, and I was shaking. Pike's like, "You didn't even shoot." I'm like, "That's how I get, bud."
Yeah.
This is a great episode.
Sure is.
I got to slow us down here. Just to let you guys know, this episode is brought
What's
to
that,
you.
bud?
Why?
What?
Slow her down.
Why?
Well, slow it.
Why do you want to slow me down, bud?
You downshifted, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Got to wrap her up.
Oh,
So,
time flies when you're having fun.
just so everybody knows, this episode was brought to you in part by Smokin' the Grove Barbecue Festival.
Smoking the Grove.
That will be held this July 26th and the 27th in Spring Grove, PA.
Nice.
For more information, go to smokingthegrove.com.
SmokingtheGrove.com.
Get you some of them burn ends.
Love me bird ends, bud.
And also brought to you in part by Moses Family Jerky.
Go to mfjerky.com.
Get 15% off your entire order at mfjerky.com by using that promo code JerkyPursuits15.
Stock up and take it into the turkey woods. Awesome snack.
Don't forget about those snack sticks.
That's how they're going to forever be known, Stevie. Love it. So, Stevie.
Yes, sir.
Where can they find us?
Ooh, on the World Wide Web at RuttenRiverPursuits.com. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Rutten River Pursuits Podcast.
Don't forget the YouTube.
Don't forget to check out them YouTubes. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and iHeartRadio.
Ask Alexa to find us.
Do that iHeartRadio thing you did last week.
iHeartRadio.
There you go.
Is it the thing?
It's the thing.
It's the thing.
That's their jingle. They have a jingle.
We are the kind of guys that we will just make it a thing.
We're going to make it a thing. It's a thing now.
That's what I like about us. All right, boys. Excellent show. Brian, thanks for joining us, bud.
Awesome. My pleasure.
See you, boys.
Thanks for having me.
Stevie?
Rig 'em weedless.
Bearded hen.
Out.
God bless you all.
What's up, fellas?
Was that Mr. Pikerowski?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What's going on,
Coming
Brian?
north of the Mason-Dixon again.
Yeah.
How about it?
Welcome back.
Happy to be here.
To the good side, right? Oh, man. So we actually asked Brian to come
We're
up.
always on top.
That's right. You know it.
I just got that.
That's how map works.
Always on top.
A little slow tonight.
North.
Latitudinally.
Yeah, okay. You didn't specify. There's a couple more stockings, big stockings that I'll hit, but
Over your fireplace.
I thought it.
That's a little too early.
good.
No, I thought about
Either that or late.
It's a little late.
It's a little late.
It's a little
Might
late
wanna
for
take 'em
that.
down.
Will.
And I didn't even access the lands from the private land on either of those hunts.
You're just game landing it.
Yeah.
Game lander.
I'm a game lander. There can
Public
be only
land.
one.
There can be only one. The best part about it is like you're running with the trolling motor, so it's like getting run over by a steamroller. No!
So one more. No! There was. I knew there had to be one more.